Hey guys, Brian Castro here with Better Chess Training, and we're going to have another game with comments. And I've already started the game. The time control is 2010, and it's actually round one in a four-game tournament. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll record all four games and give you four different videos on it. And here my opponent's played e4, and I played e6, looking for a French defense, and now he's playing c4. And so I could play d5 and potentially isolate his pawns. After I play d5, he could also do something like e5 here as well. So I have to decide how I want to deal with this. Um, I might play a little more conservatively with something like e6. Obviously, he's trying to prevent this d5 break, but I'm not actually too worried about something like e5 because I could attack it later as well. And a lot of positions in the French defense have that. So let's go ahead and try that. Um, I played this before in Blitz, and I never. This is something where I'm not sure what the actual move order would be. So, in any case, let's see how this goes. A little longer time control, so hopefully I can both play better moves as well as be a little more explanatory in my commentary. So um, let's see how that goes. Actually, what I think I'm going to do, guys, is I'm going to go ahead and grab some coffee, and I'm going to restart the video after I go ahead and do that. Okay? I'll see you in a couple minutes. Okay, I'm back from grabbing my coffee. Here's my nice hot cup of coffee here. And my opponent took this pawn on d5, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to take back here. And let's go ahead and do that. And something that we want to be aware of, something that I've noticed in my play lately that I want to be aware of is my possible opponent's replies. Something that's kind of a beginner thing to think about, but I think sometimes we get into some bad habits. Recently, I have not been playing as well lately, been a little busy with work and with family things and writing, and haven't been able to do as much training. And so I've been playing games without really doing as much analysis as I'd like to. The result of this is that I think I've lost a little sharpness. Fortunately, I think it's fairly easy to get back. And I've had this happen in my life a few times where I've had to take a little break from chess because of life. So I want to share that with you because if that happens to you, definitely not something that is the end of the world. My dreams of becoming the world champion maybe are not in the cards anymore, but things we can always get better from where we're at. So just a little bit of a commentary on life, I guess, as well as chess. In this particular position, if my opponent takes back on d5, couple ways I can handle it. Knight to f6 would be one way, and another way would be something like queen takes d5, and after that I would expect something like knight to c3, kind of like a bad Scandinavian defense or something like that. For white, that is, because white already has this isolated pawn here. So actually, what we are doing here is, or what we're potentially doing here is transposing into a exchange French. And so with this particular move here, he's playing d4. It's not a great idea to play this because I'm helping him develop his piece. Knight to f6, I believe, is what I could play. Also, c6 would be an option, but I want to give him the opportunity to isolate that pawn. Now, if he plays c5, this would probably be a mistake because I could play c6 and then play b6 as well. And my opponent just telling me that he is has looked at my site, and so I type back to him. I hope he enjoys that. So play the first few moves here. Actually, losing a few minutes because of getting my coffee here. Um, Now here's the idea here is that I have to he could take this at any point, so I want to be careful of how I respond next. Um, few things. If I play bishop to d6, I'm just inviting c5. So actually what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play bishop to e7, planning on castling, and then developing my other piece likewise. So we'll see what happens here. Um, Studied this opening a little bit. I've looked at a few games, but I haven't really played it that much. The exchange French with the c4 um, here. But the general idea here is at some point he'll have that isolated pawn, and then I will work on that after that. Some things to think about. I'm going to be playing c6 eventually. So here he's played bishop to e2. I could play, just like I do sometimes in the Queen's Gambit declined, I could play d takes c4 to make him move his bishop again. Um, I could think about doing that, or I could just castle. So a couple ways to think about it. I think what I'll do here is play it now. Um, I think that's the standard move after he moves his bishop. Well, while we're waiting for him to move, what kind of time controls do you like playing? What sites do you guys play on? My handle here, you can see, is Back Rank Brawler. It kind of combines my interest in martial arts. I've been doing martial arts since I was in college, as well as the chess. So it's kind of, if you see me on either chess.com or on the Internet Chess Club, be sure to say hello. Always happy to meet fellow players, and we can play a game maybe. Chess.com, I play a lot of the correspondence games and have fun, a lot of fun with it. So feel free to feel free to write me if you see me online. Okay, bishop takes c4 as expected. I'm not sure if I should castle here or if I should play something like c6. However, if I play c6, I'm afraid he's just going to play d5, and then um, d5, c takes d5. Actually, he can't. Yeah, he can't advance it safely. So I can play c6 first, so he doesn't play d5. Why does it matter whether or not he plays d5? Just gets a little space. Probably wouldn't be a great move right now. It would give me the e5 square, but move that I should play sooner than later. So I'm either castling or playing c6. So let me just think for a moment. Um, if I castle, you can play something like, well, bishop to g or knight to g5 might be a threat. So that's something to think about. But what I could do there, if I play c6 and he plays knight to g5, then I could play knight to d5. So that's one thing. With c6, actually I could do it in either case. I kind of like c6 here, just to, I'm used to playing the positions with c6 and the pawn on d4. Something that we will look up later, whether there is a preference there. So one thing I've been thinking about lately is what do you do when you come back from when you haven't been able to study lately? So in this position, by the way, I'm just going to go ahead and castle. Um, and how do we come back after we have maybe, whether it be from work or just from being distracted by other things? Sometimes there's going to be a time where we're not doing our chess studies. And coming back from it can kind of be intimidating, where to start. And so one of the first places I am working on right now is my games. And as you know, I'm a big proponent of analyzing your own games, but when you are coming back from a layoff, don't be afraid to play games. You know, sometimes I see people who, friends of mine or people I talk to online, who are afraid of playing again after a layoff. They're afraid they're not going to, they're afraid of losing ratings points, I guess is part of it. And you can't worry about that. I mean, here in this case, I've lost about 60 ratings points since a couple months ago, just because I haven't been able to study as much lately. So coming back to it, putting a little more time in, I'm just starting off with my games and analyzing them. So, anyways, let's get back to this game a little bit. It's my opponent's turn to move, of course. And uh, one of the things that I want to do is develop my light square bishop maybe before I develop my knight, so it doesn't get blocked in. However, it's not a big deal in any, well, in the French with a lot of variations, you have to be careful with this light square bishop, making sure to develop it. Couple ways to do it, and one is I could play it out to something like g4 to pin the knight on f3, or play it to f5. And another one would be to play something like b5 and then develop it on b7. So he plays knight to c3 as expected, and um, I kind of like the idea of pinning here because he doesn't have, well, yeah, he doesn't have any shenanigans with discovered checks because my knight is protecting it. Then I can develop my knight to d7, um, and that might be a good idea. But let me look here. I'm always looking to see about his d5 push and what he's thinking of doing there, because now with this knight here on, with the knight here on c3, he can conceivably play d5 safely without losing material because he's got one, two, three attackers. And well, actually, he plays d5. I have three defenders, so can he do it safely? D5, c takes d5, knight takes d5. Yeah, and then he's got the additional three attackers. So I actually only have two. How does that work out? I'll have to look at it later. Let me think for a moment. Actually, I can play knight to d5, and actually this is where I might want to play knight to d7 first, looking to hit with knight to b6 if he were to push d5, and then I've got that knight on there too. So I'm going to play knight to d7, and so the play here is if he pushes d5, which I'm not sure is really a threat right now, then I play knight to b6. What that forces me to do, though, is I'm definitely going to have to develop my light square bishop later. Of course, he could just drop his bishop right now, but then I could still play knight to b6. Something working with my coach that we have to look with these isolated pawn positions is sometimes we can blockade the pawn, but unless we can develop some other counterplay somewhere, it can often not lead to too much. We have to have a way to attack it or to create threats elsewhere. So that's something we're going to be thinking about during this game. So for white, what does white want to do? Generally, the person with the isolated pawn is looking to develop some type of initiative or attack. You could put his knight on d5, for example, or e5, for example, at some point, and bring his queen over to attack. What else can he do? At some point, he wants to push d5, maybe followed up once he's developed his other pieces. So there's quite a few ways to deal with things here. And now he's just reinforcing that pawn on d4. So a couple things I'm thinking here. One is to just go ahead and play knight to b6 and gain a tempo on that bishop, make him move, and then I can develop my bishop, my light square bishop. So let's see how that looks. Let me see if there's any other ideas here before I play this. One other thought I've been having, just in the opening phase, we want to make sure that we are taking care of business. It's not the time to necessarily start anything too aggressive in the way of maneuvers. Um, so I really have to be concerned about developing. And couple things I want to do there is develop this light square bishop and then somehow put these rooks on more effective files. So there's an order to that. So one of the things, so I have to make this decision with this knight, which is whether I should develop it to b6 or move it to b6 so I can develop this bishop, or maybe play something like rook to e8 and then develop the knight to f8, or not develop it, but move it to f8 with the idea of either going to e6 or to g6. And that way too, I I would still be contesting. Only problem with something like rook to e8 is that as soon as I play um, knight to f8, then he has something like knight to e5 to contend with, and then my that the problem with that, of course, is that my f7 pawn would be weak here. But I'm probably spending too much time thinking about this. But it might be a critical decision. The other idea would be to develop 2b6, as I said, and then place it on d5 to kind of shut out things there. And then look at developing my bishop to either f5 or g4, and then putting my rooks on the e and d files. So are there any specifics of the position that might make one more attractive than the other? One is that I can get the two bishops if I do put that knight on d5 at some point, because he could take with the knight on d5, and then after I take back with the knight, if he doesn't want my knight there, he'd have to take with the bishop, in which case I would have the two bishops. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is knight to b6, and after he moves, playing my bishop out, and then putting my queen on somewhere like c7, and putting my rooks on the d and e files. Now, of course, I have to take into account what my opponent does, but for now that looks good. Knight to e5 isn't really a threat. My rook is protecting f7, and he doesn't really have anything else going on at the moment. So let's do that. I have a little time anyway because he's got to move his bishop. Let me know what you think about my little extraneous commentary. I watch my boys and we play some video games as well. So sometimes we watch videos of video game streamers, and they're always talking about life and stuff. I think sometimes chess players were so focused on the moves, and maybe I should focus a little more as well and talk about that. So let me know if that bothers you. And I kind of want to, I'm kind of like to have fun with it as well as playing, of course. But so far so good. I think the eventual. I mean, we have to. And this was pointed out to me by one of the better chess training readers, is that sometimes we need to move past generalities. Sometimes general principles will lead us to certain moves, but we also have to make sure that the moves conform to the types of the specifics of the position. So even though right now we're still in the opening and we're still kind of laying out what's happening, we also want to see what we can do in terms of the specifics of the position and the types of plans we want to have. So, but right now I'm not too worried. I think fairly good in terms of our position here, and I'm not really. There's nothing really. He's not really threatening to do anything terrible. In fact, he has to react to my move, which would be either probably bishop to d3 or bishop to b3. So let's see what he does. And what I do want to do is I'm kind of taking a long time with some of these opening moves. So sometimes clock management is something that we'll talk about too on the channel, but in general, we want to make sure that we play our opening moves a little bit quicker because some of the bigger decisions will be made later. When I get basically a critical position, meaning whether a move will win or lose the game. Of course, I can play a move that loses the game right now, but assuming that I don't make any big blunders and I play fairly decently, the opening moves, we're not playing at a grandmaster level where I'm playing some novelty on move 9 or something that breaks the game. Pretty standard opening here, and neither of us have an appreciable advantage, although I do like my chances. I think I have a fairly solid position, but my opponent has good development as well, and has a decent position himself in terms of what he can do with it. So it's not that the point I'm making is that it's not that one of us has an extreme advantage over the other with regard to the opening. Hope you don't mind my coffee drinking. I like coffee. Okay, here we have bishop to b3 as expected. So next decision. Where can I develop my bishop to? f5, of course, is very nice, kind of aiming down this long diagonal. Pinning, though, this knight is something as well. Although, admittedly, the pin doesn't really doesn't do too much to threaten him. So, part of me likes the bishop to f5. Um, and then if he plays something like knight to h5, I could always react to that with something like, bishop to g4. What bishop to g4 does for me is kind of have him think a little bit about moving his queen off of the diagonal, protecting it if he wants me to create a pawn weakness. This could be a big deal or it could be a little deal depending on the situation, but that is the decision I have to make. I kind of like bishop to g4. There's no real way he can break the pin effectively. But again, I don't really have any immediate prospects after that, which is could be part of the deal. However, like I said, if I have a mass exchanges here on d5, I would have this queen here, so that could be something as well. The question is, does he plan on moving this bishop to c2 anyway? In which case, it might be nice to have this bishop here. So, those are the two things I have in mind. You know what? I think I might like bishop to f5. Well, let's see here. Let's try to look at this objectively. And again, I just talked a couple minutes ago about not playing these moves too quickly. Well, if I play bishop to, well, you know what? Let's play bishop to g4 because it kind of stymies his efforts with to play anything on e5. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And what that indirectly does is, actually directly does, is prevent him from playing knight to e5. Okay, here he's playing h3, so I could go to h5. You know what, let's go ahead and provoke this, well no, you know what, how can we do this? Let's provoke g4 here. So the idea here, if he plays g4, I just play bishop to g6. If he tries to take it with the knight, he's taking a lot of moves just to deal with my knight. In the meantime, I'm also now having thoughts of what to do with my knights here. Yep, there it is. And let's see, question here. Can I do anything? Is there any reason to sacrifice anything? I don't think so. I'm going to go ahead and play my bishop to g6. I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about it because I've already spent a lot of time thinking about these moves. Okay, there's knight to e5. And this is okay. I don't mind this move. And he's going to take this piece, which is fine. And I'm going to take back with the h-pawn because the f-pawn is pinned, which is fine. And I'm going to look at what I can do now. Let's see. Seems that, is there any way to save this? Not really. Not really. So what I think I'm going to do is play knight f to d5. I'm just going to stake out some real estate here. The idea actually is, okay, I'm going to take back there. Now you see here, now he's kind of weakened things around the king. So I can look at that and what I can do with that. He has the two bishops now, but my knight is well placed here because the only way you can get rid of it without losing material is with this bishop, And there he goes. And I'm going to take back with the queen. And that way it maintains this isolated pawn. So now I can go to work on that. Okay. Huh. Very interesting. Now let's take a look here. He's got a hanging h-pawn, which I can't really get at, I don't think. He's got this hanging bishop, which I don't know if I can really get at that. He's got this hanging pawn. Are there any tactics that we can look at here? Not quite sure. Or should I just start building up pressure? What is he trying to do? Well, if he wants to play g4, that's all, or g5, that's all well and good. Excuse me. If he wants to play, actually, he might want to do that to prevent me from playing bishop to f5, but I could actually just reroute the bishop this way. In fact, that would be kind of a good move here. He could also, I think he might be thinking of playing f5, and then if I take back, he takes back with the rook. And that would be interesting. However, I have a nasty surprise for him if he were to do that. So that probably would be a good move. And that move would be knight to, or queen to e4. So a couple things I could do here. I could start to reroute my bishop to get on this diagonal to start attacking this way. It seems like a convoluted plan. What I'm also thinking is just putting my rook right here, in which case my bishop might get shut out also. So I do have to think about how I'm going to deal with that as well. But I can't put it here because it's going to provoke g5, although maybe that's what I want to do. So let's go ahead. You know what? I kind of like that plan. Let's see. I just want to make sure there's no way that I could be winning right now. One thought he might try getting his rook here. That takes him 2 moves, takes my bishop 2 moves. So I'm actually going to play, this is an interesting move here, bishop to d8, and then I'm planning on going right there. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see how he reacts to that. This is one of those, Tigran Petrosian or Nimzovich types of moves, positional moves that that people don't understand. Or it's just a waste of time. Maybe I'm just taking, maybe I'm not doing the most efficient move. So let's see. So here, the nice thing is that I can block, because he's got this dark square bishop. There's no way he can evict me from here without using one of his rooks, but I'll be covering those squares here with, with my bishop. So it's hard for him to get at me here. And while in the meantime, I could reroute my rooks to these open files and cause a little bit of trouble. I could actually put my rook on e4, in fact, and then have all of my pieces being aiming at this. And so can I do this quicker than my opponent can get his pieces? Probably. So typically what you do when you're attacking the isolated pawn is you are when you attack the isolated pawn, you're lining up things on the file, and then at some point you can press forward with this this pawn right here, the c pawn in this case, and attack that pinned piece. So I can get all of, but in this particular case, I can get all of my pieces attacking. And in the meantime, while he's trying to defend that, I can poke at one of his other weaknesses at some point. So that's something we'll be looking out for. And I've got to do it a little quickly, though, because I've only got 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes on my clock. So we'll see how that works. Okay. Interesting. Queen to f3. So what he's trying to do here is trade, obviously. Do I want to trade? I don't know. Let's see here. A couple things I can do, of course. I can play queen to b5. I could avoid the trade. But you know what? He's the one with the weakness, so I actually don't mind trading. But I have to follow up here. The idea would be trade here. He takes back with the rook, and then I play my bishop out because then I want to play my rook here before he can advance it. Of course, he could advance it right away, Yeah, in fact, he can't advance it right away because then this guy will be, well, won't be pinned because he'll have the rook there. But his rook will be out of place, I think, a little bit. So, but let's see if there's any tactical way to take advantage of what he just did. This pawn is still weak, but I can't really attack it, I don't think. So the one defect of my move is because this isn't a rook, I can't just ignore it. Okay, queen takes f3, rook takes f3, bishop to b6. Then he could advance it if he wants, but I win a pawn right away. If he plays his rook there, I play my rook to either d8 or actually maybe e8 to pressure this because he can't advance it. So let's go ahead and take. General principles, of course, when there's a pawn, when your opponent's the one with the main pawn weaknesses, then trading pieces is usually good because it kind of accentuates the defect of the structure. However, it also takes away your attacking force. But in this case, I think his rook gets a little displaced, so I don't think it's a big deal. And there comes his rook, and now the decision. Do I play my rook to d8 to defend against it, or to e8 or e8 to try to put pressure on this bishop? I'm going to go here with d8, and the idea here is I'm going to play rook to d5 next, okay? And then, okay, so now he is protecting that bishop and freeing up. So here's the deal. I'm going to go ahead and, actually, can I play c5 right now? We can just advance it. So I'm going to play rook to d5. So this could be a classic example of how to attack the pinned pawn, because now he's going to play his rook here to d3, and I'm going to play my rook here to d8, and then he's going to be in a lot of trouble. But again, so then again, we'll see what he does. I don't know if you guys can hear a little chirping in the background. Oh, what is he doing? That is very interesting. Rook to b3. Is he going to sacrifice the exchange? What is he doing? I don't know. Well, I'm going to go ahead and attack this pawn and challenge him. What are you going to do? Is he going to play a4? I don't think that'd be a great move. Oh, I see. He is looking to, well, here's the problem now, is that I could still play c5. So what he's trying to do is he's attacking this pawn now. However, and then, this is interesting. How should I deal with this? So what he's trying to do, if I play, if I go ahead and take this, which I can, and then after the exchanges, then he gets this pawn. But is there a way I could prevent that? I could play rook to d7, and then he won't have that. And then, because I'm playing c5 next, so let's go ahead and do that. The problem is I have this, this pawn is pinned. He can't take it. Because now I'm still threatening to take here. And he takes, and then I take. Yeah, because I'm winning material if he... Oh no, well, I'm not winning if I can't take it right now. But I can play c5 next. And then I win a pawn. Basically, I'm winning a pawn, and my opponent will not win a pawn. So that is the key here. No need to trade pawns here. I'm going to win a pawn. So there's this chirping in the background, as I was mentioning, and it is the server is notifying me of what's happening in the tournament, or that I'm entered in this tournament. So it's kind of funny. Okay, so he's going to give up on this pawn. Now, I think it would be a mistake for me to go ahead and take it right now because because he's going to get this rook check in. So I'm just going to go ahead and what is he doing here? He wants to play his rook here, maybe. Very interesting. Well, I'm going to go ahead and play my king here. And if he wants to play his rook there, I guess that's okay. I can still go ahead and take this. Well, again, his weakness is not going away. So I have to be careful not to give it away too quickly. Okay. Now he's looking to checkmate me, which is not going to happen. But I have to make sure it doesn't happen, so I'm going to play f6. The idea there, giving my king a place to go here. And this is a case where I think I'm in control, so there's no need to rush. So can I go ahead and take this pawn? Bishop takes, rook takes, and then rook takes. And then he can't get his rook to the 7th rank. So I think I can just take it. Let me check. Bishop takes, well, yeah, because there's no pin. So here's the idea. There's no pin here on my part, on his part, because I have this rook is protected. So I think I just win a pawn. I'm going to play a little bit quicker. Okay. And then I will just go king to f7 because it's the only move I can play. And I don't know what his idea was. Okay, that's fine. I'm going to play, oh, let's see. I could play something like b6. But you know what? I like a6 because now he can't really do anything with a b5 push. Okay. And the idea here is to what? To checkmate me? Couple things here. I could go ahead and play my rook to the 7th rank. And then his king's totally cut off. If he tries to check me, I will just scooch out with my own king. The other thing I can do here is just play this rook here to threaten him or to kick him out. I have to think quickly though. Let's see. Or I can just take this pawn here with check. Let's do that first. Wait. Before I do that. If I check him here, he moves his king here, then I can trade rooks. Okay. I don't know if that was the best move, but at the very least, he cannot checkmate me. So, yep, then I can trade rooks. And I take, and here I need to move. Well, I can just protect this rook, but how do I want to do this? I can threaten him here and then drop it back. So let's go ahead and do that. Threaten. So maybe that wasn't the best sequence. We'll have to look a little later. Running out of time a little bit. But the problem is he can't bring his rook in. So I'm just going to bring my rook back here so I can get it along here. And he can attack that if he wants to, but I'm going to go ahead and defend. Then if he goes here, I'm going to go ahead and trade. That's fine as well. And I'm going to check him first. And then I'm going to bring it back here so that I can defend this pawn because he was going to check me here and try to win that pawn, which is fine. And so I think we're in a pretty good position here. I could start to advance my king now and get it into a better position. So I'm 2 pawns up, but I've got double pawns here, but it's not a big deal. What I'd love to do is trade rooks. So I might look at doing something like that. see, he's trying to get his king into there. That's fine. And we'll bring my king up. Let's see here. What do I want to do? Well, let's keep advancing my king here because and then I can actually just go after his pawns here. If he wants to trade rooks at this point, I'm actually okay with that. And if he tries to, well, here I'm just going to win some material. See, the difference here is that I can trade rooks here, and my pawns that are going to be freed up by him are going, oh, I see. Interesting. Well, next step here is to create a passed pawn. And now I'm just going to walk this pawn up. So either way, my opponent is in trouble, I think. But with 2 minutes and 32 seconds left, I have to be careful. Okay, and I'm just going to walk my, I'm going to go ahead and walk my pawn in. Yep. And now there's nothing you can do. I don't think. It's going to take him too long to get around. I'm just going to move my king up here on the next move. Wants to distract me, but I will not be distracted. And he's going to push here, but it's not going to matter. And he should be resigning fairly soon. So we'll see what happens there. Okay, now, do I take it? Because then I'm going to be getting some sort of almost like a Lucena position. Or can I ignore it and just win his rook? I think I can, because I win his rook, and after he plays his pawn to h7, I'll just go ahead and drop my pawn back, or my rook back, and then win that way. Or I can just take it, make it a little more complicated. How do I want to do this? I think I want to, let's see, if I make a queen, f1 queen, he plays h7, or if he takes it, I take back, he plays h7, and then I play rook here, and then he takes this one. So, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and take it, just eliminate any trouble here. I can play quick enough, I think. And king to, actually, king to f1 is the move, and then my king's going over here. It will be protected by my rook. So let's see what happens. He should be able to resign soon. And actually, it's probably a better idea to take the pawn here, to take the pawn on a6, because now there's no more trouble. Because before, in the other variation, oh, okay, well, let's go here then. So what he did there was pin my pawn for a move, but now I can just drop there. And good game, and that's it. So we'll take a look at that, and first game of the tournament. I like it. I like my chances. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please press the like button. I'm not going to include any post-mortem analysis in this particular game. I thought it was a good example of how to attack an isolated pawn, as well as how to take your time once you have a positional advantage. So I hope you found it instructive. If I find any glaring weaknesses, I will mention that in the description. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Have a great day, and good luck with your chess.